Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, written by Lewis Carroll, published by Macmillan in 1865. Once upon a time, on a warm and golden afternoon, a curious young girl named Alice sat idly by the riverbank, nestled beside her sister, who was absorbed in a book, feeling the sun's gentle warmth on her face and the cool tickle of the grass beneath her. Alice's mind began to wander, her eyes tracing the flight of a lazy butterfly. It was in this moment of idleness that she spotted a most peculiar sight: a white rabbit dressed in a waistcoat and clutching a pocket watch, and muttering anxiously about being late. Intrigued, Alice followed the frantic creature down an impossibly deep rabbit hole, plunging into the fantastical, bewildering world of Wonderland, where peculiarities and nonsense were the order of the day, and where imagination knew no bounds. Upon her arrival in Wonderland, Alice found herself in a vast echoing hall with many locked doors of varying sizes. Desperate to explore the beautiful garden she spied through a tiny door, she realized that she was far too large to pass through. In this hall of locked doors, she discovered a small table with a mysterious bottle marked with the phrase, "Drink me," and a dainty golden key. Cautiously tasting the liquid, she found that it caused her to shrink to a suitable size to pass through the door. But to her dismay, the key to the door now lay on the table, far out of her reach, as she had left it there before drinking from the bottle. Through a series of further size-changing mishaps, involving a cake marked "Eat Me," a pool of her own tears that turned into a sea, and an encounter with a kindly mouse, Alice eventually navigated her way through the tiny door and into the magical garden. As she wandered the peculiar landscape of Wonderland, Alice stumbled upon a wise blue caterpillar reclining upon a mushroom, languidly smoking a hookah. The caterpillar inquired as to her identity, and Alice found herself pondering the idea that her experiences in this topsy-turvy realm had caused her to question even her own sense of self. The caterpillar, sensing her confusion, offered cryptic advice, teaching her that consuming certain substances, like the mushroom upon which he sat, could allow her to control her size, a valuable lesson in this unpredictable world. Continuing her pursuit of the white rabbit, Alice found herself at a never-ending tea party, hosted by the eccentric Mad Hatter and the March Hare, with the sleepy Dormouse as their drowsy companion. At this nonsensical gathering, Alice was served tea that never seemed to quench her thirst, asked riddles that had no answers, and heard the tale of the treacherous Queen of Hearts, whose fondness for the phrase, "Off with their heads," had become legendary in Wonderland. As Alice tried to comprehend the logic of this eternal tea party, she discovered that the participants were all stuck at the same time, unable to move forward, trapped in a never-ending loop of tea and madness, a veritable prison of their own making. Leaving the tea party behind, Alice ventured through the woods, where she encountered the grinning Cheshire cat, an enigmatic feline who appeared and disappeared at will, leaving only his mischievous grin behind. The Cheshire cat offered Alice cryptic guidance, speaking in riddles and navigating the bewildering world of Wonderland with ease. He led her to the Duchess's house, where Alice witnessed the chaotic household with its pepper-filled air, the sneezing baby, the argumentative cook, and the Duchess's bizarre moral teachings. When the baby was left in Alice's care, it transformed into a pig, further emphasizing the absurdity of this realm. Eager to distance herself from the chaos of the Duchess's house, Alice continued her journey through Wonderland. She soon found herself in a beautiful garden filled with talking flowers, each with its own opinion and ego. As they boasted and bragged about their own beauty, Alice realized that even the loveliest of flowers could be marred by arrogance. Disheartened, she left the garden and continued on her way. Alice's journey eventually led her to the Queen's garden, where she encountered a group of living playing cards, painting white roses red, in a futile attempt to avoid the Queen's wrath. Invited to play a peculiar game of croquet, Alice was presented with flamingos as mallets, hedgehogs as balls, and soldiers contorted into hoops. The game defied all reason and order, with the Queen's temper flaring and her threats of beheading echoing across the field. Alice struggled to navigate the game's nonsensical rules, each interaction becoming more baffling than the last. Seeking refuge from the croquet chaos, Alice stumbled upon a curious scene, a procession of creatures dressed in white, with the White Queen and the Red Queen at its helm. They introduced her to the concept of living backwards and the peculiarities of time in Wonderland. Alice found herself in a world where memory worked in reverse and the future could be remembered as easily as the past, further emphasizing the strange logic of this enchanting realm. As her adventure progressed, Alice was summoned to attend the Queen's nonsensical trial, where the Knave of Hearts was accused of stealing the Queen's tarts. The trial commenced with a roll call of jurors and the reading of nonsensical poetry, setting the stage for a courtroom drama unlike any other. As witnesses were called, including the Mad Hatter, the cook, and the Cheshire Cat, it became increasingly evident that the trial was nothing more than a farce. The Queen, in her characteristic impatience, demanded that the sentence be given before the verdict, much to Alice's dismay and confusion. Amidst the disorder of the trial, Alice began to grow in size, her limbs stretching out and filling the courtroom. As she towered over the proceedings, she declared the entire trial a sham, boldly challenging the Queen's authority. In her fury, the Queen ordered her playing card soldiers to seize Alice and carry out her execution. But just as the cards began to swarm around her, Alice awoke from her dream, finding herself back on the riverbank with her sister. The fantastical world of Wonderland, with all its peculiarities, oddities, and illogical occurrences, had been nothing more than a vivid daydream conjured by a young girl's imaginative mind. As Alice recounted her adventures to her sister, the magic of Wonderland lingered. Wonderland, a realm where nothing was as it seemed and logic was tossed aside, offered a delightful escape to a place where the imagination reigned supreme and even the most extraordinary events could unfold. And now, dear listener, as you return to the real world, keep a bit of Wonderland's magic with you. And remember to treasure the power of imagination, for it can transport you to the most extraordinary places and remind you that even in the mundane, there is always room for wonder and whimsy. Carry the lessons of Wonderland with you, embracing the whimsical, the curious, and the absurd, and let your imagination run free as you explore the boundless possibilities that life has to offer. We hope you enjoyed this short-form audiobook from the greatest collection of books and stories ever written. Classic masterpiece literary works are added to the channel regularly. If you would like more of the greatest stories ever told, please like and subscribe.